don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the back bed, I'll show you what happens. Pass me the mic and I'll show you with action. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you could never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you could never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So give me all the scars, I'm a human being. Cover them with tattoos so you can't see. Knew it from the start, you had problems with me and the things I could be, I just wish I had seen. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you could never own. I feel this pain, you already know. Turn that to gains, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want. So fight and die for the things you know you love. Do what you think is right and see life do what you want.
Little monsters and pretty little liars. She heard the cries but stayed inside. Her frozen shadow, eyes open wide. Phone in hand, the clock ticks slow. 8 long hours, why didn't she go? Stories twisted, changed with time. A shifting script, a jagged rhyme. What did she see through that cracked door? A silent plea and nothing more. Velvet laughter, solid sighs. Ghosts and daylight wear disguise. Chaos blooms with truth to fires. Little monsters and pretty little liars. Laughing loud while sirens wailed. A hollow grin, her conscience veiled. Friends in blood, but where was she? A stage surprise for all to see. Blatant lies in neon light. Puzzle pieces don't fit right. Scripted tears and rehearsed cries, but the truth still burns behind her eyes. Oh, what a tangled web she spins, dancing lightly on her sins. Chaos blooms with truth to fires. Little monsters and pretty little liars.
Oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
What is going on, Hive? I hope that everybody's having an awesome day. I can tell you I'm excited for this one. Got the audio coming in loud and clear. Got the queen of TikTok backstage booking with B in the Hive tonight. And I have been looking forward to getting her here in the Hive. And I know you all have as well. She is going scorched earth on the NPCs on TikTok. So we're going to be getting into all of that this evening. As you know, or if you don't know, and this is your first time in the Hive, welcome. This is a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines. So if you are easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, this will not be the stream for you. However, if you can see through the mainstream media bullshit and like to ask questions and look into things, you have found your people and you are amongst friends. Welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and say what's up to everybody. Everyone's hyped for B. I can feel the energy, Hive. I can feel it. It's going to be a good one. Beck says the queen of TikTok. Love that. What's going on? Luna, shout out to my mod. What's going on? UK Karen. Where's everybody tuning in from tonight as well? Let's just get to that right off the jump. Show B how far and wide the Hive stretches. Kentucky at Heart says, been waiting for her. What's going on, Sam? That indeed, Savvy Rooster, is a crazy world that we live in. Pennsylvania. Erica, first time in the Hive. Welcome. Gang, gang. What's up, Crown? Casey Cam. We got Texas, Alabama, Atlanta, South Jersey, Washington State, Oklahoma City, Alabama, Connecticut, Tennessee, Bama. Go, or I almost said Roll Tide. I meant War Eagles. Let's dive in the Hive is exactly right. Ohio, Cali, Texas, Seattle, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, New York City, Tennessee, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Indiana. What up, Robin? How you doing? Shout out to my mod. Utah Hive, Kansas, Canada, Georgia. You got Missouri, Boise, Louisiana, Florida, West Michigan, Reno, Pennsylvania. April rain showers, Texas as usual. Man, this is great. Ohio, New York, Connecticut. I can't even keep up with all these. Man, this is going to be a good one. Albuquerque. Validation boys in Ukraine. You might be the first Ukrainian we've had in the Hive. Welcome. Texas. Wow, this is great. This is great. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up Booking with B. So I'm going to bring her on stage here. Give me 1 second just to swap this layout. And here she is. What up, B? How you doing?
Hi, guys. This is so exciting. Everybody's been rooting for this for so long. I can't wait.
I know. I'm glad that we were able to make it work. And
I know.
yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. And I'm excited to hear your take on it. I was saying in the stream like a couple days ago when we had kind of confirmed that you were going to be able to pop on, I was like, there are a handful of creators that when I get sent their stuff, I stop and I watch it in its entirety. And you are one of them. You have been absolutely crushing it. And I
Oh
think
my
that
God.
you do great
Thank
work.
you so much. Thank you so much. It's like, this is something I just like kind of fell into. I mean, I've been doing this my whole life, but it just became so natural that I just like went right into it.
Yeah.
And it's tough in the TikTok streets. That's my motto.
I do not disagree at all. And I don't know if on TikTok you knew this, but we started on TikTok back in like March, and I transitioned over to YouTube in end of April, early May. So this is still newer as far as like what the Hive is, where it's the chat is interactive and I'm putting comments on screen. But TikTok's no joke. There are a shitload of bots. There's a ton of trolls, and there's a ton of people that I'm convinced are real life NPCs that their brain just doesn't work.
I mean, you are telling me, you are literally telling me. But I'm like, guys, it's not ever going to stop me. Just keep going. If you want to keep going, do you, boo, but not for me.
Exactly. And I love it too. You always start with like, let's dive into it. That's how I know. I'm like, oh, I got to stop
let's
scrolling.
dive into it. Also, I'm never going to care about anything you say about me. So let's dive into it.
Top dog right off the jump. I love it. I love it. Well, okay. So what we're going to be getting into tonight, obviously, in regards to the Idaho 4 is the simple fact the crime doesn't fit the photos. The investigation doesn't fit the evidence. Censorship is out of control. I would argue it's just so bad. It's so obvious. You got Ashley Banfield talking shit about selfies, and apparently that makes you a murderer. And it's not only just censorship on the apps. It's like the mainstream media it's either purposeful where they don't let their anchors talk about it, or like their brains have just been turned off.
Honestly, like I'm not understanding the whole, like I've never seen a case shared on such a one-sided dynamic. It's really crazy to me that this case is being shared and this dynamic is being pushed out. And also that the parents weren't even in the know of all of this. Like they knew nothing. They knew absolutely nothing. And so as we're getting all these documents and we're getting all these photos and we're getting all of these things, the parents are getting those at the exact same time, which
Right.
for me literally proves that the state and the prosecution was blatantly
Mhm.
lying. And I have such a huge problem with that because why were these families not let known what was happening, what was going on? There's blatant evidence
I couldn't agree
that
more.
these young adults were not asleep. Blatant evidence.
Not only were they not asleep, B, but from day one, the narrative was written in stone. And from day one, there was no chance Bryan Kohberger is going to get a fair shake in the media. You thought
No.
maybe in the court system, but they said, nah, we're going to bend Bryan over the barrel and show him the 50 states of the justice system. And it's just, it hasn't changed. It doesn't matter. If anything, now people like yourself, people like me, many in the Hive, you put out this document, or you put out your take on a document that the state is
Yeah.
releasing, and you just point at it and you say, what does this mean? And they're losing their minds. They're still calling you a conspiracy. You know, it's not a conspiracy. It's actually just that we've been manipulated by the mainstream media, and now it's a giant cover up. You should have thought about that if you didn't want people asking questions at the end of the day.
Well, and my whole thing too is where you guys solved your case, right? You pulled up your big boy pants and you did this and you solved it.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we withholding information? You guys solved your case. So you should be all about letting all of your evidence out to the world because you should be so confident in the fact that you solved your case that you are willing to show the world absolutely everything that so that you can say like, look, we did our job. Except that's not what's
No, it's
happening.
getting worse. It's getting worse. And we're going to be getting into all that. I'm going to go ahead and plug the channel real quick. If you guys are new here, or if you have not subscribed, please do. I keep all of the streams free. So just swipe down on the chat, tap the like button, tap the subscribe button. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central in my YouTube channel. If you click the more links, I have a website, my TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Out of all these, if you were to join the Discord. That's where I pull questions of the day and Hive Mind finds from. Just make sure you have the app downloaded on your phone before you click that link. And on the birdiebombshell.com, we got the MSNPC t-shirts, the pink tinfoil hats, and some embroidered hoodies. We are making some headway on a new line of merch that I think is going to make this merch, not that this isn't high quality, it's just going to make it look like child's play. We got some awesome artists in the Hive that are working hard on that. And then B, I just had your TikTok up here. Is there anywhere else people can find you right now, or is this your main platform?
So I'm literally working on my Instagram. I've got an Instagram, my Facebook, and I'm also working on my YouTube. But like it got a little overwhelming. It was slightly overwhelming because I did not expect to grow to the capacity that I grew so fast. So I'm working on my Instagram, I'm working on my Facebook and my YouTube page so that I can put out longer videos.
Yeah, we got to get you over to YouTube.
I
That'd be great.
know.
It's a game changer.
I need a person to help. I need an emotional support YouTube person.
Yeah, I can help you out. If you after the stream, if you want help with it, I could just shoot me an email.
Yeah,
and
for
I can
sure.
tell you what I'll use and what not. But also, I was gonna. Oh, I didn't. Where did that go? Oh, it's later. Our new sponsor that I was showing you backstage.
Oh,
Yeah. That I thought that slide was a little bit earlier. But what I do here in the Hive B is in that Discord, I have a question of the day. And so this one comes from Perpetual, and I actually need to reload this page because that picture wouldn't pop up for some reason. So 1 second. Here we go. So Perpetual asked, has
okay.
anyone noticed that there was barely any blood in the photos of Xana's room and certainly not enough to leak through the second story floor? Through the wall layers, through the first story flooring, and then out to the concrete. And blood coagulates. So to still be this fluid, to be dripping. And I've had an issue with this damn picture the entire time. I mean, they left it after the crime scene cleanup, which makes no sense. That's like a biohazard. And then all over the house, you see like similar style drips. I don't know what it is. And I picked this question, B, because of what you were kind of saying with like the photos. They don't match the crime.
They don't match the crime at all. And that photo legitimately doesn't match the crime, but I could understand maybe how that photo came to be if Ethan had a pouring of blood. This is also, I feel like no one understands that this house is not like some mansion that was pristinely built. This is
Right.
like a shitty 3-floor house that got like add-ons done in the most cheap way. The foundation wasn't good. The none of this house was like a good house.
Right.
So if apparently this was also from Xana's room, like up against, but I'm not understanding. I need to see where this photo was from because if this is from Ethan, which everybody has said it is from
Yeah.
Ethan,
Because Mrs.
then
Chapin apparently
how
confirmed it.
did it get on the outside of the house? Because Ethan was against a wall
Right.
that was towards the innards of the house. Ethan wasn't against a wall that was on the perimeter of the house. He was on a house wall. Like behind Xana's room was not like there's no way that could have come.
I agree. I agree. And I've said this too, like any crime scene cleanup company worth their license would have never left that blood on the outside of the house. You have to, there's like OSHA laws, there's other like acronym and that type of stuff for cleanup crews. Also, with how big of a spectacle that house is, and they're going to tear it down like a year later, right? They left it that entire time. And that fence, it's not like a cop was guarding it the entire time. I'm guessing that eventually that cop car was just an empty cop car that was parked out there with tinted windows. So you didn't know if somebody was in it as like security, but you could have gotten through that fence in the backyard and it makes no sense. So I start to wonder, going back to your point with you've never seen a case so one-sided, is this to increase and like dramatize the crime scene? And people used to get pissed off for asking that. It's like, there is a pipe here, but for blood, to this Perpetual's point, it coagulates. Like, when did this happen? Why did this happen? I thought Ethan was in the bed, right? So what is it?
Also, even if this was Xana's blood, the blood, I don't know that anybody is also realizing that blood. I've worked in the medical field for like 20 years. So I know what blood looks like later on. This blood would not be red like that
Right.
had it been dripping down, which it does look a little bit brown. It does, but where did it come from? Because if it came from Ethan, absolutely not. If it came from Xana, maybe so, because I did see that her blood did pool, right?
Yeah.
Like it pooled in the room. But it's not making any sense because where this location is on the house is right on the like because the first floor, which nobody can seem to understand, was an add-on.
Right.
So if that was an add-on and this was necessarily the main level to begin with, how did the blood get outside of the house like that? Because you have someone against a wall, an innard wall, and then you have someone on the floor. It just isn't.
Yeah. Sometimes what I do too, B, is I'll like ask the chat. And so I don't know if you can see the chat scrolling by on the side. I don't know if you're on your phone or
Oh, no,
laptop.
it's so tiny. I can't see
Yeah.
it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm
Okay.
just going to say, Hive, type a 1 if you think that it is blood, type a 2 if you think that it's not. Let's settle this once and for all after the fact, now knowing where the bodies are found and seeing the body cam footage of where they blurred it and the lack of blood in those photos. 1 for yes, 2 for no. And there are some people, there's a couple ones right off the jump, but if I had to bet,
Two. Someone
it's
said 3.
yeah, UFO dog's about to say,
Three?
yeah, UFO dog always says 69 in these too, so you'll see that as well.
It's just not giving that this was pouring outside of the house because we also have to think about how they went in and said this was the bloodiest crime
Right.
scene we've ever seen. It was saturated, there was blood everywhere. And maybe to them it was, but I'm sorry, where?
Where? And
Where?
then And Taylor, with the cleanup occurring, okay. So that, well, when was the cleanup? That's the other thing too that I do wonder sometimes. When was this cleanup? Because it certainly didn't look like it in the body cam. Now everything's blacked out. It's not even blurred in the body cam. Obviously, they just put those giant squares over there.
Yeah.
But it's like those. I tried to get a body language analyst into the Hive as a guest, and it just didn't work out. But I'm like, the reaction for seeing bodies that if it's that bloody and stabbed that many times, you're shook. Like I would be like, I don't get it. Their body language makes no sense. This makes no sense. And so in my mind, I don't think that I just don't feel like they would have left it there. That was my big giveaway. And so this is where the slide was. That's where it was. This is our new sponsor. I've used this only one other time before. This is from Dylan Mortensen. It says don't just rest. You can hibernate through murder if you take an 8-hour snooze. And right now there is free shipping. She has an abundance of money from a GoFundMe. So she is cutting her profit margins on this, and she'll send you whatever she took to sleep through a quadruple homicide while supplies last. I saw that on an old Reddit 4chan post.
I mean, it's not wrong, but
Right.
do you have and I haven't shown these photos because I don't really want to be like so insincere and like harsh, but the photo that bothers me the most is the pillow on which Kaylee was laying on.
Yes, because there's nothing.
Because there's no struggle.
Well,
absolutely no struggle.
Yes, and I can pull up some photos. I do have some like Google Drive.
I don't want to like prep because I haven't showed them because it is like, but I didn't know if this was a safer space for people. But I haven't showed them because obviously there's blood in them. Right. But it's a sure, like, you guys can't look at these photos and say that someone
struggled,
fought to the death in this bed. You can't. Right.
And kind of like that disclaimer that I say in the beginning where it's like, if this is your first time here, it's a contrarian thinking live stream. I think that one of the things that we've talked about in the recent event of Charlie Kirk, where you open up your phone and you see him getting shot in the neck and blood going everywhere. It's like, we didn't get to choose to see that. I mean, one of my guests has a 13-year-old daughter that's like, she sent me a Snapchat of it. Why is my 13-year-old's algorithm showing her this? And now we're getting lectured by people on crime scene photos for possible police corruption and misconduct for not investigating correctly. And we can't even see that as the public. Tax dollars. It makes no sense to me. And we're shamed for it. We're told that we're not respecting the victims' families and this and that. And it's like, okay, I understand to an extent. But also, if this was happening to somebody who didn't have a high profile case that's on the world news, what would they do? How do they know what to look for? And so in a way, it's like, there's a lot of people that don't feel like this was an honest investigation. And that is concerning. And I don't think that people should be shamed for it. And nobody's saying that we want to see the stabbed up bodies, for God's sakes. I mean, no, just show us you can blur it out. And also it's like, they release how many other Nicole Simpson.
Oh my God.
JonBenet Ramsey.
Jason Corbett.
Yep.
Hello. Did you watch The Perfect Marriage? Jason Corbett, his crime scene photos were absolutely insanely gruesome. And this was from blunt force trauma and a baseball bat.
Yep.
This man's blood was literally splattered from one end of the room to the next. There was a piece of scalp lying on the floor. And they photographed it all and they immediately shot it out to the media. They did not care. And I'm just like, I'm not really fully understanding, if you guys solved the case, why you want all of this hidden. And I get it that it might be traumatic for people, but when you have something this big and within a nation, right? Like
the world,
it kind of, I don't know. I feel like you have to be really, really secure in the fact that this case was solved. And it's just not, that's not where we're at. It's not where we're at all.
No. And you shouldn't. Here's the thing, B. There's no shame in trusting your gut, right? There's no shame because a lot of the people and I would even say people that are getting paid millions and making millions of dollars, not the little old Hive on YouTube that, you know, goes on and just talks about inconsistencies and what I am passionate about, which is like narrative warfare, that this doesn't make sense. Stop shoving this down our throats. Don't insult our intelligence, ultimately. And so you have these people who I would guess their version of investigating is the Amazon Prime series, the 2020 series, and the Dateline documentary. And that's their version of it. They're not looking at the ISP, the MPT docs. They're not combing through court records. They're not looking at the body cam footage. They're just going to say, look at how creepy Bryan Kohberger is. Even though the prosecutor and the investigator said, we can't put him in the house. There was no connection to the victims. He wasn't stalking them. We can't see him in his car. We didn't get a license plate. It might not even be his car. It might just be the undercover plainclothes police officers that are driving by at that time. What?
It's literally insane to me that the fact that, like, first of all, Bryan Kohberger's selfies being creepy. Well, my selfies are probably creepy. Like, what I mean, if we're taking pictures of ourselves for something that we're not telling other people about, they're probably going to be deemed a little bit creepy, whether you're an attractive male, attractive female, any of those things. Also, my big thing is that nobody humanized Bryan Kohberger, right? They just immediately ran with this narrative. No one shared the actual truth. And my big thing is, if you are going to form an opinion, you need that person's story, this person's story, and then you need the other, right? Everybody has it's when you're going to form it drives me crazy because, like, how are you guys forming a well-versed opinion by only listening to one side? You cannot, no matter what, you cannot form an opinion if you haven't listened to both aspects. And
Couldn't
we
agree
never
more.
had a trial, so no one ever got that even from that. So they're literally listening to one little clutch of people, right? The media. And they're saying, this is what and I'm like, guys, you're literally only getting one version.
It's like,
It makes me sad for humanity. It really makes me sad for humanity.
right. I think it's easy to palate, right? It's easy to think that this is just some loner incel that killed them because they're beautiful, as the Dateline documentary started out saying. And this first Hive Mind find, this comes from Sherlock Romsby. I picked this because I wanted to get your thoughts on it, because I've certainly felt this way. I'm sure a lot of people in the Hive have. And Sherlock said, I'm having anger doubts on Idaho 4 today. What I mean is, I feel overwhelmed by the amount of information being dropped daily. And with the amount of effort it takes to go through it all, I just get angry at how theatrical the whole case feels. The more I learn, the more theatrical it seems. It's just really hard for me to believe these investigators had the forensics they had as early on as they did, and they still couldn't solve it somehow. That just seems too unrealistic to me. Multiple teams of investigators not caring at all to test any of the many juices left behind at the scene. All the body cam footage released, considered in its totality, has AI manipulation all over it. Judges enforcing the most sweeping and demanding non-disclosure orders I've ever seen, while simultaneously not caring at all about informal leaks online. None of this is normal or even realistic human behavior. So it begs the question, or questions, how much effort should I really put into these doc drops? Are these paths all preordained to be distractions? Is this all just to measure our response to a story? Am I just giving them the data mining value that they want? Or is that what they want me to think, so I stop digging? That would be smart too. Sigh. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that I think honestly that they're forced to drop the documents, right? They're forced to drop the documents because now there's no gag order and there's no withholding within that gag order. Okay. So they're having to do the same exact thing that they needed to do for the defense all this time before. The defense literally said, we got dropped. I'm talking 68, what is it? 68 billion pages for 1 terabyte.
Terabytes or something? Yeah,
And
something
they
like
had
that.
75 terabytes or something crazy, like 75 times 68 terabytes of information. It almost seems like the state they had an idea, right? We will overwhelm you with evidence. And if you think back from the beginning as well, what was the state's whole ploy? We've got mountains of evidence.
Mm-hmm.
But did you really have mountains of evidence, or did you have a truckload of documents to pour on someone that were unorganized? Because that's exactly what the defense said. The defense said, we've gotten all of these trillions of pages. They're all unorganized and they've just been dumped on us. So then when the defense would go back and ask for discovery, the state would be like, we already gave it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean in this massive, disgusting mess of paper that you gave us? It was a tactic from the beginning to just overwhelm so that they couldn't sort through it, just like we're doing now. Think about how hard it has been for you, me, the people that have chosen to sort through the paperwork, how hard it's been to figure out what is what order. And that's just like a little amount.
It's crazy. Yeah. When you put it like that, I mean, I do think it absolutely turned into a strategy. I think what's mind blowing to me is how, like, it just seems not in good faith that these prosecutors truly believed it was Bryan Kohberger, right? And that's what I think a lot of people, and I've said this before on the stream, and it's like you and me, B, and a lot of people in the Hive, we're good people. So we assume everybody else is a good person and that there's not nefarious intent behind their actions, but that's just not the case. That's
No.
living. Yeah. And I think this is a great example. I mean, they need a conviction. Bill Thompson got actually a murder conviction without a body. That's insane. Like, and now he got one without a sheath.
And then he went and did it again. But he didn't have a murder weapon. He didn't have a motive. He didn't have anything because Bill Thompson doesn't lose a case.
So
well,
wild.
when you're spreading that far and wide, we don't lose a case. 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 But we're all in bed together. Okay, cool. Don't lose a case then. But I'm going to need you to go ahead and prove that you solved your case. And no one did that. No one
Right.
did that. There's all these questions. There's all these, like, we were investigating heavily into people. And then as soon as Bryan Kohberger got brought in, they just killed it all.
Yeah.
Even though the FBI literally said, we're giving this to you as a tip. It is to only be used as a tip. They said, tip?
You mean you just solved it? Like, that's what it is. Yeah.
Wait, tip where?
Right. God, we've gone down so many rabbit holes with, like, what was that tip given to them for? Why did they treat it? Why did they tell them that?
I will never understand, like, where. It's just very odd. It's very odd. The fact that they've also said, oh, we knew from the jump it was a white Elantra.
Right.
No, you didn't. We still don't know that. We still do not know that.
Well, and one of the things that Sherlock points out, and I'm sure you're aware of it, but it's happened twice now in public. You got Steve G when the whole G family is pretty much telling Bryan he's going to have big D's waiting for him behind the prison walls. And yeah, it's just crazy. And then you have Middleman, the CEO of Othram Labs, talking to Stacey Chapin, that just so happens to be at the exact same Othram, like, promoted JonBenet Ramsey case for IGG, say, within 5 days, we have him. So now you have two families that are saying they had him right away within days that do not match any of the official narrative. How is that possible unless they're either purposefully saying that or ultimately they did have it much earlier? But why would you let a guy who just committed a quadruple murder with a knife continue about his day for 30 days and travel across multiple state lines? And you could say it was all this huge strategy. I'm sorry. If I was a police chief and that was what somebody recommended, I would say, are you drunk right now? We're going to let a knife wielding maniac, just go amongst his life for 30 days.
Also for the law enforcement and everyone involved, we had so much pressure on us. We had so much pressure to solve this case, They weren't letting a perpetrator walk.
No.
To just further investigate. They weren't at all. That's not a thing. Mm-hmm. You didn't have so much pressure from the media and so much pressure from the public that you then decided we're just going to let them skate around for a little while. Like, that's not a thing. That's not what you did.
It's not. It's really not. And I don't know if this post was from today, but we were talking about the crime scene photos. I saw a TikTok right when I woke up this morning about like Steve G had posted something about like stop asking for the crime scene photos. Instead, you should be asking for the photos of them barging in on Bryan's parents or something. Like, did anybody see that?
I did not see that.
Maybe it was older, but it was like I saw it today and I thought that it was like when I looked at the bottom, it was within the last couple days. But
Also, though, I do have a funny feeling regarding the Gonzalez's just because, like, reading into the documents and figuring out that Kaylee did not really have the relationship that they're portraying, which is neither here nor there, right? I know that families go through things, but they never once spoke on the fact that their daughter was pretty much estranged from them. So,
meaning Kaylee as well, not just.
yes, that Kaylee was estranged from them, like completely. So, also, do we know where Kaylee was staying? Was she staying at her parents' house when she had moved out of King Road? Where was she staying?
It's a great question. You'd think it'd be a simple question too. Simple answer.
Because, right? What if you were so happy with Maddie and with everyone, and you were staying in this house and you had this perfect situation? Why would you then go live with your parents whom you were estranged from, and you would drive over an hour into classes?
Yeah. No, it's a great point. There's so many simple questions that don't add up. And moving on to the next one, this is another one. This comes from Uncle Daddy, and he said, "Who applied the amino black? Is this proof of a cleanup by the investigators? Shouldn't there be amino black all on the top of the bags? And if that much blood is on the counter, why isn't it also on the bags?" This is Stage AF. Now, my first comment with there was so much, at least in my mind, there was confusion amongst like luminol and then this amino black.
Yeah.
Can you explain that? Because I've tried, and even my own brain, it's hard for me to wrap around
Okay.
like, what they do.
I've never seen Amito Black used like this ever, 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 ever in a crime scene. It almost seems like it was just poured everywhere and not necessarily used in the way that it should have been used. Because the way Amito Black is supposed to be used, it's supposed to be sprayed and then it's supposed to be rinsed so that you can try to gather a print or something like that. This doesn't appear to be rinsed at all. It appears to just be sitting. Any Amito Black that you spray on any surface is going to turn dark blue because the liquid is dark blue.
I see. So when it's sticking to those parts of the counter, what would make it stick? Because that does look like it almost looks like blood. Like it does kind of look like blood in some areas. So why would it stick in that pattern then?
Well, and it also can react to certain other cleaning chemicals.
Okay.
So I was really confused as to what these pictures were of, if that makes sense, right? Like, what did you doused everything in Amito Black and then you took pictures, but what did you take pictures of? Because Amito Black, if it sits too long, it can just turn dark blue. If it reacts to bleach or other chemicals, it can turn dark blue. So what were you actually taking pictures of?
Right.
And if this gave you a positive, where was your fail safe? Right? This could be a false positive. So then where was your go back and confirm?
Right. I
We
agree.
just see Amito Black being poured all over the house, but there's no real results from it.
Yeah, and it's like so what you're saying is that there's no way that this is all just detected blood that was invisible to the naked eye before.
Not necessarily, because it can sit for too long and turn dark blue, and it can also bond to a separate cleaning protein.
So why would they use it then in a house?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I'm not understanding. I've
Yeah.
never, ever, ever seen a crime scene where this blue substance was literally poured all over everything. Never once. Never once have I seen this. I didn't even know what Amito Black was until I saw it poured all over this house.
I didn't either. At first I thought, holy shit, that's like detected blood.
100%. But also, what was this? What were you guys doing? And also with all, this cop force that had no clue what they were doing. Did you guys even know how to properly use this?
Do you remember the ISP document about the dude that took his his uncle's ATF jacket and he walked into the crime scene and said it looked like somebody deer hunted inside
Yes.
that house and that every victim was double tapped? He never mentioned stabbing. And then you have, you know, Chrissy and Steve and Olivia on the couch saying, someone called me and said that the party was shot up. And it's like, then you see something that looks like this and it's like, okay, that almost in a way sounds like, yeah, somebody deer hunted inside that house. Like if you've ever, you know, shot a deer, it bleeds obviously a shit ton. But where do the rumors of gun violence come from? Where do the rumors of a stabbing come from? Because there's another thing, like multiple weapons. Are they not saying the second weapon used is a gun?
Well, and also they also pulled a gun. There's a Glock that was pulled in evidence.
You want to talk
There's
about
a
that a
Glock.
little bit?
There's a Glock in the evidence. And okay, whatever. But apparently I just learned too that having weapons on campus is a huge no-no. If you live on campus, you're not allowed to have a weapon. But we have multiple people in this story that had knives, machetes, guns. One of the kids that was like a reporter was like, I pulled all my guns out. But you lived on campus? I'm
Right.
confused.
I
So
mean,
are
yeah.
we in a situation where there could have been guns used and then that could have been covered up by, because did anyone even look?
Well, did
You know
anybody
what I
even look?
mean? At this
Yeah.
point, did anyone look? Or did anyone look for bullet holes? Did anybody look for, I don't know.
Yeah. And like I can just say from like my college days, like every single one of us had guns in our house, and I don't even know what the rules were. You know what I mean? Like
True.
it's a Midwest. I think probably Idaho is very similar to that with a lot of hunting people and shit like that. So, you know, just there's a lot of photos too that I don't understand, and I don't want to go super into the weeds on these because everyone stared at them, and I have no answer for them. And I just don't get, like, why are you laying out Jack in the Box wrappers? Why does it look like there's still spatter on the back of the wall and you know, right over here? I don't get it, and it's very confusing, just like everything in this case. Sherlock Rome's made a really good point, if I can find his comment. And he said, it's definitely blood reveal. They wouldn't have buried and hid those kitchen photos for over 2 years if not. And I've wondered that about everything that they're releasing. It is not that bad. Why not put all this out early on? That's what doesn't make sense to me either.
No, it doesn't at all, because also these photos are not crazy.
No.
And I hate to say that because I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to downplay what happened,
Right.
but the photos are not giving what has been told to us. It's 100% not at all what's happened in this house. Not at all, not even a little bit.
I agree. And I go back to the whole thing about you open your app, Instagram, X, whatever it is, and you just saw Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck and bleed. Like, it's like, so again, that to me, when I saw that, I like put my phone, I'm like, oh my God, what did I just see? These did not have that effect on me.
No.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
also, like, to know that blunt force trauma and like all of that, like the blood splatter just from that alone, especially on your face, because your face bleeds so heavily and so does your head. To see that someone was lying right next to the bed and there isn't, the person that was lying on that pillow did not move. I'm sorry. They didn't smear their head around. They didn't fight. They didn't do anything. They laid in a perfect position. There's literally a circle little place of blood on that white pillow. That's not someone that was fighting for their life. I'm sorry. And it like breaks my heart to know that like that's not at all what was happening, and that's all just that keeps getting pushed out.
Right. And well, you start to wonder with the gun rumors, was she shot in her sleep and didn't move? Right. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you think about the other victims too. Like Xana had defensive wounds. You cut your finger. You were saying the same thing with your head bleeding a lot. Your fingers bleed a shit ton.
Yes.
You know. So
And I mean, honestly, Xana's room is the only room that remotely looked like someone really did anything in, right? That anybody was like active in.
Right.
There's nowhere else. Maddie and Kaylee's, the room is literally pristine.
Man, there's
I
so many
can't,
rabbit holes,
it's,
B.
oh, it drives me literally crazy though, because I'm like, also too, how can someone be in the same place at one time?
Right.
Someone wasn't on the third floor and the second floor at one time. They weren't.
Right. Right. I agree. And this next one comes from Bextats. And in the Discord, B, also too, I'm not making this art. We have some people that are really good with like AI art, but this one's
Okay.
relevant. This one's relevant. And it goes
Okay.
to Ashley Banfield. And it's a little bit long, but I'll get through it quick. So
Yeah, no, you're
Laud,
good.
okay. Lord have mercy, Jesus. Watched Banfield this morning and the actual quote reporting. What a joke. She showed selfies and the shaming that followed was ridiculous. Seriously, report the photos, but the damn commentary to follow, the body shaming, the picking apart of his smile and his appearance. Has she not been on the internet? People are weird. They take pictures of weird shit. Maybe it means something to them. Who gives a shit? So because he takes selfies in new jeans, he's a murderer. Has it ever occurred to her or anyone else that he is on the spectrum and that he might just be trying to be normal? I mean, walk outside right now and tell me how many people are taking stupid selfies. I lost 121 pounds. Shout out to Beckstats. Nice. And you can bet your ass I took so many pictures of myself in the smaller sizes that I only dreamed of fitting in. I didn't send them to anyone. They were for me to show the progress I'd made. Does that make me a narcissist? Does that mean that I'm self-absorbed or weird? Okay. Her comments are not reporting. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. How many of you have selfies on your phone? Weird facial expressions, stupid poses. Anyone? Just me? This heifer needs to go on somewhere. Please tell me what selfies have to do with the actual crime. Please inform me. Well, shout out to you, Beckstats, for losing 121 pounds. That's no small feat. Jeez, that's incredible. And I couldn't agree more. I think it's a good take. What about you, B?
Yeah, I think that also too, like everything that he is being accused of is not really anything that has any substance to it because no one knew about his diagnosis and no one chose to even delve into it. And at this point, it almost seems like the college was in a little bit of a bullying mind frame because no one was sitting down with him and actually like trying to get to the root of the problem. It seems like a lot of people were behind his back like doing this weird like bullying thing where if you would have just this is also someone I have friends that have autism spectrum disorder. I also have friends that suffer from Asperger's, and you have to be real direct with those people. You have to literally tell them exactly what you're feeling and how you want it portrayed. And it really doesn't seem like that was happening. And then all these selfies, like, okay, and
Yeah,
he hadn't
and
lived away from his home. He had been on his own for the first time in 28 years. He lost a ton of weight. He really wanted a girlfriend. Like, of course, he was taking selfies. Like,
right.
I did none of what they've brought up against him is giving remotely like anything weird. Even like him cornering people or like, well, if you dove into his diagnosis, that would make a lot of sense as to how he can't read social cues. I'm
Right.
not making any excuses for someone being weird or creepy, but sometimes people can't help it.
I agree. I agree. And it's also just at the end of the day, it's not evidence. It's
It's
not
not
evidence.
evidence.
It's not evidence at all. And it's just at this point, that's where the narrative has gone rampant. And I've said this a handful of times in regards to the reporting of, and also this has nothing to do with male versus female in the real world. It's rather just the narrative surrounding it. Dylan and Bethany being men, I'm convinced they've been detained. I'm 100% that if it was two males that survived and it was in the house, maybe I think a lot of people would agree. Maybe some disagree, but I can also guarantee you that there's no way that a male host would get up there, whether it's a convicted killer or not, for a female and do that to somebody.
No.
Unless you're trying to just shit on them and make people clap along. You know, B, real quick. One story that I saw that made me just, I literally stopped scrolling after this. When the report of the complaints came out of Bryan Kohberger being harassed in prison, the first TikTok I saw was this girl go, "It's bedtime story," and it's the report. And the comments were like, I've had such a terrible day, but I'm going to sleep so great after hearing this now. That's weird in general. It's so weird.
Also, it's very weird to get pleasure out of someone else's pain, no matter who you are or what you're doing. Like, it just never has sat right with me. Like, he's not an exhibit, right? Whether or not he did this or he didn't do it, if he did it, cool, 100%. Prove it to me. Show me, please, because I think as citizens, we're allowed to see that. But also, even if he did, like, he's not an exhibit. He's not someone to then put out photos, videos, etc. And I have gone through a lot of effort to share what is being released by his prison because he's supposed to be in max security and it's a huge no-no. So I'm not a snitch, but I be snitching when it comes to.
Yeah.
I'm not a snitch, but I will
love
be
that.
snitching
Yeah.
if it comes to someone like. There's just no reason to release that. Like, what is the purpose of it? He's supposed
You
to
ever
be in
seen it
max
before?
security. Like, what are we doing?
No, it makes no
Also,
sense.
nothing that they've shown is showing that he's a bad person. Nothing. He's not aggressive. He's not physical. None of those things. But we
I don't
had
disagree.
a situation where the media took off and they didn't share any of his diagnosis and they didn't make that clear.
I agree. And Ashley Banfield is on a generational run of being an absolute clown. I just can't believe that she continues to impress me. And here's Ashley Banfield actually walking into the studio right now. Here she is, everybody, the upper right corner. It's so gross that somebody with that big of a platform that calls themselves a professional is going to do that. And I'll also say, B, I've never seen somebody be followed so closely after being convicted of 4 life sentences after the fact, just to make sure that you're stepping on them and just squishing them into the ground for whatever that dude's got no chance of living a normal life outside of prison. Even if somebody came out and said he literally did nothing, there's no chance. There's people that wouldn't believe it.
No, and I think that is what people are missing. Like, for everyone that wants to like scream like, oh, we're conspiracy theorists, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, no, you guys are not understanding that at the end of the day, this is about a much larger issue. This is about a bigger issue. This is about injustice. This is about someone getting pulled. And I mean, this man's life is over and they don't have anything to back it up. And if America is not scared about that, this could be you, this could be me, this could be absolutely anyone. They could just yank you up and your life is over. And that's where I'm like having a really hard time with society.
Oh, you and me both, B. And almost like the problem is what Bryan Kohberger has alluded to in his papers that just so happen to be happening to him, which is either the weirdest coincidence of all time, where he's saying 90 to 95% of cases don't even go to trial. They settle in a plea deal after you're overcharged and forced into it. And now you have predictive criminal behavior companies like Palantir. And then after the crime, you have Othram, who just made Stacey Chapin their spokesperson. So if you question their methods, you're now questioning grief and victim shaming. It's almost like, wow, is this a giant conspiracy unfolding right in front of our eyes, how they hijacked the narrative of the Idaho 4 and completely weaponized it to push an agenda? I'm sure that they've never done that before. These billionaires.
Exactly. But also what I'm just gonna say this and not to be like, but where does Stacey Chapin get the authority to be the spokesperson of a lab that didn't even test her? Like, the DNA that they tested had nothing to do with you. Why do you get to be a spokesperson on the fact that the DNA was talked about, but the DNA was nothing about like, it's not linked to you whatsoever. It's a little bit odd, in my opinion, that she became a spokesperson of a lab company that had nothing to do with actually her own child's lab.
I have a theory, and that's that if I was running Othram and let's just say I had the budget and I really wanted to make a splash and do a complete PR rollout at CrimeCon, I would 100% picked the family that probably stayed the quietest and had the best, quote, public facing image without drug history and didn't go in there and be all over the media. They were very almost like, it's weird because it's like their emotions. It was almost just like they were throughout the entire case groomed to be, to like looking back, like groomed to be the front facing poster family for Othram.
Yeah, it was very much I don't know, it just seems I guess I have a different outlook. If it were my child, I would be literally diving into every little nook and cranny, and
Mm-hmm.
it's strange to me that that didn't happen at all, and now someone's speaking on a lab that really doesn't have any grounds to speak on that lab.
Yeah, it is odd. And so that's the Hive Mind finds and the question of the day. So thank you to everybody that did submit that. Like I said, you can find that Discord link in my YouTube channel. Now, B, this is obviously the contrarian thinking live stream, but ultimately we like to wear tinfoil hats in here and get a little nuts with some conspiracy theories. So I would be amiss if I did not ask you, in regards to this case, what do you think if you had to put your finger on one thing being a conspiracy about it? Do you think it's who is involved? And let's not pick the easy answer of the narrative, right? Like, is it who is involved? Who they're covering up? Is it the weapon? Is it a psyop? Is it witness protection? Like, what's your, like, you're going to go out there and say something, and this is also the safe spot to do it.
Thank you. My biggest thing right now would be corrupt
Corruption.
justice. Right now, it is leaning towards there are a lot of things that people don't want to be known. It's leaning towards, I think we're protecting a large group of people, whether that be fraternities or whoever it is. Even protecting them in the sense where you lied about where you were and we're not going to talk about it. Because why did you lie about where you were? You know what I mean? Like, even people that might not have had anything to do with it, why did we accept lying?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
That's
Like, if you
so
didn't have
weird.
anything to do with it, why did we accept that you lied about where you were the next morning and where you went to? Like, why didn't we dive into that a little bit more? So, my biggest thing would be the conspiracy and the injustice of this case, because I firmly believe that they should have solved this if that's what they were doing. And I don't see anywhere that they did that.
Yeah, I don't think they had the intentions of solving this case.
And if I'm going to stay true to what I believe in, it's that we don't let people go down for something they didn't do.
Right. Unless he's creepy and he has bushy eyebrows.
But I mean, if he's creepy, he has bushy eyebrows and he did it, cool. No big deal. R.I.P. Bryan Kohberger. But can you just show that you did your job?
Right.
And we don't have any of that. And we're seeing someone that I don't know that was even capable of this crime. I don't know that he was capable of it in a mindset. I don't know that he was capable of it in a physical aspect. I just don't know. This is a man that literally put cops on a golden platter.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Why
and
would?
I think, go ahead. No, you go.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it. I think that you make a great point. The criminology study was completely perverted in the narrative, and you then again, I want to know how many people even watched that post sentencing press conference where they said, well, he was actually looking up things that every other normal criminology student would have been looking up. So why does the criminology thing still get talked about? Like, he knew how to get away with it. Well, did he? Because he made the stupidest mistakes ever of the phone and the car and stalking, but also none of that's true.
Literally, do you see my jaw open? My jaw's on the floor because what you're telling me that this insanely smart criminology student drove his own car, drove it around for almost an hour, getting caught on film. He then took it, like, it doesn't, no, guys, it doesn't make any sense. And no one goes into a crime scene and starts on the third floor when you have all of these people beneath you that could literally be going to get help.
You know, you talked about the cover up kind of being the conspiracy or like the corruption. one of the simplest questions or ways that I put it is this. If this was really just a straightforward college town murder by a guy who transferred across the country and stalked them, purchased a K-bar on Amazon, and they had his DNA with how much blood and all that shit, we haven't seen the sheath. I'm sorry. It would not get, I truly don't believe that it would get world news. I think it could get big time high profile. I don't think it would be like in the news cycle nearly as long, nearly all the documentaries, all this. I'm sorry. Any given weekend, like there are people that get shot, that get stabbed, that get whatever. And I get it. It's for beautiful. Some people said like white kids that a college town, but it's also like, okay, he's not a serial killer. He didn't know anybody. He's apparently loner. He's not like some high profile dude. It's just like, I remember seeing him on the news. I'm like, that's the guy. That's the dude that did this. It made no sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And given his history, everybody like that's pushing this in the media is also like, no. Wait a minute. Let's pull his profile back. This doesn't make any sense. And everything that you guys are trying to push, well, he took these creepy selfies. He didn't send them to anyone. Like, none of it is aligning with killer. None of it. Please don't go down my search history. For the love of all things holy, don't look at it.
Mine either.
I mean, right? Like, am I a mass murderer that might have bought a knife 8 months ago and I'm gonna kill? Like, come on, guys.
It's true. Probably everybody in here has looked up, serial killers and other stuff that you could piece an entire narrative together rather easily. And the narrative does seem way too clean around Bryan Kohberger. And before I say it, I'm just going to ask you, what are your thoughts on Ann Taylor's defense strategy?
I think, I mean, honestly, look, I don't know what she had. I don't know what was given to her, but it seems like a real piss poor job.
And people get triggered when you say that, but I'm sorry.
I'm just not understanding.
I don't get it.
But I also, like I said, I don't know what she got. I don't know what was released to her. I don't know the mess, the jumbled. I mean, I went through a whole slew of documents that were about another stabbing crime. I'm sure you did too.
Right. And
the ones that Latah County or whatever put out. And we're like looking through them and there's this knife and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. This is even about the same crime.
Right.
So
right.
I don't want to say that she didn't do her job, but at the same time, Ann Taylor is hired by the state of Idaho.
And there's a lot of people that ride or die for Ann Taylor and say she's smart as hell and all this stuff. Sorry, I got like a frog in my throat.
No,
right
you're
now,
go ahead.
But ultimately, there's so much reasonable doubt it could drown the entire state of Idaho. Seriously, that is all you had to do. You cannot tell me that 12 people would say there is not a shroud of reasonable doubt. Okay. Can you place Bryan Kohberger in the house? And really, you could just show the interviews at this point. No, we can't. Okay. Are you 100% positive that's his car? Did you identify it properly the first time? No. Did you get a license plate? No. Do you see him in the car? No. Is there a connection to the victims? No. It's over with. Okay. There was a comment on YouTube, and it said you could destroy the phone evidence in like 3 questions. And ultimately the last one was like, you get a phone expert up on the stand and you say, okay, now can you tell me a few reasons why somebody would turn off a cell phone? And they'll say, sure, low battery, no service. They don't want to get charged if they don't have data. Maybe they're hiking, whatever it is. And you would just have to say, okay, so you're telling me there's other reasons to turn your phone off besides a quadruple murder.
Yes.
That's it.
There's other reasons.
That's like,
well, and also you have to go back to all the other people that didn't have, we have a whole man that Kaylee babysat for who's also missing 2 hours of cell phone data. Well, he was supposed to be at home, and that's not me at all accusing him of having anything to do with this. But you can't have one standard when you're not doing it across the board. You have a man that was supposed to be at home while his wife was having girls' night. He was supposed to be watching his daughters, and his phone just goes off service for 2 hours, and there's no explanation for it. He also says, I will not give my DNA and I will not turn over my phone data. And the cops were just like,
You're
okay.
you're the football coach. You're fine.
Love you. See
Yeah.
you next time. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah, he's clear. We don't need to worry about him. He's
Yeah,
good.
everyone, clear,
Yeah.
clear. And
Yeah.
then, like, hearing that Idaho State was like so on top of it, right? They did their due diligence. They swabbed everyone, except they never tested them.
There's so many things that just so happen to go wrong. Like
They
I
swabbed all these people,
yeah.
but they just kept them in this little bundle that they never sent to the lab.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
We have rather obvious, if not corruption, incompetence. We have what seems to be a coordinated narrative. There is a man who has enough reasonable doubt that he probably should have never taken a plea deal, should have taken his chances at trial amongst any fair jury. Now, his appeal window closes. What do you think that would be for? Is it really, are we holding out hope that Ann Taylor set him up for the perfect post-conviction relief case? Or what are we doing here? Because I don't understand it.
You know, I don't think I have put in multiple calls to Ann Taylor and left a message with her receptionist multiple times. I get no return call back. But I think that Bryan Kohberger wants to be completely exonerated of this crime. I think that if he is innocent, right? If he had absolutely 100% nothing to do with this, he wants to be completely exonerated, because if he's not completely exonerated, he cannot do anything in his life. All of his hopes and dreams are right down the toilet if he doesn't get exonerated for this. So I almost feel like he's sticking it out to like prove, like, until I can be exonerated, I'll just sit here. I don't know if that.
Can I play this thing? It's called a tinfoil hat song. Right before I'm about to drop just a wild theory. So.
Please retrieve your nearest tinfoil hat. Place that firmly on your head.
And usually I'll go get my tinfoil hat, but I don't want to get up and get it right now. But I wonder, with Bryan's background and, you know, Professor Ramsland having ties to the FBI through the BTK, and then you look at the funding the criminology department was getting at Washington State University and the timing that Bryan got there for predictive criminal behavior. We're going to go deep and just kind of rip the gloves off here. I do wonder if Bryan Kohberger is going to get, you know, quote, Epsteined in prison, either because he didn't know he was about to be playing a role while the parallel investigation that was going on that the FBI never told. You know, when Steve G and even the investigator said there's a parallel investigation, they never communicated on certain things. I do wonder if Bryan is like the public facing conviction, because there's no way that they could say, well, it was, if the drug rumors or the gang rumors are true, they infiltrated the Greek life. And even though we had an undercover agent down the road, they still pulled it off. And we actually have no idea who it is. The only way we could probably be able to figure it out is IGG. So why don't we rally people around a weird looking dude that's quiet and nobody knows, that just transferred in here? We could push that agenda because the FBI is lobbying $60+ million a year to use IGG as evidence. And then Bryan Kohberger goes to prison after not taking any sort of plea deal. He gets, quote, killed, or he commits suicide. Is there, like, does he go into WITSEC? Because what you just said is like, how could he get fully exonerated at this point? It would take, I think it would take years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it seems very, this automatically reverts me back to the Adnan Syed case. I'm sure you're familiar if you're not. But
kind of, I mean, I've heard of it, but
yeah. So where, I mean, Adnan sat in prison for literally his whole life. until he finally got let out, and he wasn't even exonerated after that. He was like let out on like some weird terms where he had to still maintain being guilty. And I just think that, you know, especially if Bryan has like this one track mind, right? I don't know that I mean, this is a man that's writing complaints in prison.
Wild.
He thinks that if he writes a complaint, it will be heard. That's how he views police. Like, if you just look at it a little bit on a deeper level, right? He thinks that if he writes complaints within the jail system, that they will listen to his complaints and they will do something about them. That's not a thing.
Right.
Nobody listens to your jail complaints. That's where he holds law enforcement, though. You know what I mean? So it's
Yep.
almost just like this. I don't know that he's fully grasping how against how against him they are.
Well, right. You're right.
Right?
That's such a good point, because even the way that he's phrasing the complaints, his language in them is like, you know, I would really appreciate it. Like, there was something with like his right portions of food and how he's going to be
Yes.
malnourished, and that's such a valid point that I never really thought about. That's how his brain works. Is
Yeah. He
I'm gonna
thinks they're going to help him.
I just literally wonder. Again, I tend to go down the conspiracy route. I do. I like the hardcore conspiracy route of and it goes back to what Sherlock posted of my brain has turned into a dumpster fire with this case, because I've now ingested so much information. I don't keep it straight, where I start to think, did I just fall for this trap? Did everybody?
I do think it is very possible that we could hear that he is no longer with us in a few short months, just to silence everybody and shut everybody up about this. I don't think that that's impossible
Well,
at
they
all.
certainly planted the seed in the narrative of, starting with the G family, when the entire world was watching, that there's going to be people like almost inciting violence against him, I would argue. And then all the news talking about how now he's already, you know, people think he's going to commit suicide from some anonymous source that they heard, which they never name who the anonymous source is. It's always a phantom source that says these things, and they're seeding it into the narrative. I go back, actually, speaking of that, to the first ever interview that the Gonzalez's did in front of the Moscow Police Department. This was something that really, like, whoa, my eyes lit up when Steve G says, you know, we need one of those like family, you know, lineage companies, and you know, this is such an IT town, and we need to start and it's like, whoa, he just laid out exactly how they're going to catch Bryan Kohberger 30 days before with this IGG thing. It's like, how does I just thought that was so weird, and now they're doing the same thing with the narrative in regards to Bryan's safety in prison.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, again, like I said, I think that Bryan just holds this like true trust for the police, and that's not a thing. Like, I don't think he's realizing the bigger like, I think he thinks that these cops are still looking out for him. And unfortunately, like, that's not at all what's happening.
Do you know what else is surprising to me, B? If there was a defense attorney that wanted to make their career on a
Take it
case,
on.
they would, dude, do you know that would be like, you'd be amplified into the stratosphere with PR if you were the person that could. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, right? If you actually, it would be easy if it wasn't corrupt. If you took out corruption, this would be rather easy to prove reasonable doubt. Very easy, actually. I think we could probably all do it. I could probably do it with AI.
We could just probably show up. We could just probably show up and be like, we're the team. And I would feel fairly confident in proving reasonable doubt. At least that. I would feel very confident in proving reasonable doubt.
So then why isn't there somebody that's doing it? And I'm sorry, but you can't tell me that they're afraid of what it's going to look like and the PR. I mean, it's not that unexpected that somebody appeals a case and they got to have an attorney when they're guilty. There's people that have raped kids, that have molested people, and they still get these, you know, trial defense attorneys that are big time people. Now, Bryan Kohberger, while yes, he's accused of murder, I would say that in terms of like the severity of the PR, murder and saying you didn't do it is a lot different when it comes to an attorney when it's like, oh, you didn't like rape kids. You know what I mean? Like if there's reasonable doubt on that one, I think that I do think that it's like not, obviously not as bad as that.
I would snatch it right up. I would snatch it right up. I would snatch it right up and I would do my best. And if I failed, I failed. But I would snatch it right up and I would at least try, because for me, there's just no factual evidence pointing that he did it. And I think that if you just broke it down and you presented that to a jury, then you really don't have anything to worry about. Nothing about what they have is facts. Nothing.
Right.
Outside of that little smidgen of touch DNA on the underside of the button. But other than that, nothing is, but people are just, media is a powerful source. Powerful source. It's a very powerful source. Like, you just put it out there and people just latch onto it. And that's all they want to believe.
Yep. I agree. The last couple streams I've been using this quote that I saw in my a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and it's, we have the systems in place to function properly. It's impossible with a corrupt media.
It's impossible with a corrupt media. It's impossible with a corrupt system. It's
Right.
impossible when our police are not doing what they should be doing. It's impossible when our judges are biased. It's impossible. Like, and that's my whole thing with my platform. Like, at the end of the day, this isn't about Bryan Kohberger. This is
Right.
about how it could be anyone. It
Anyone.
could be anyone, absolutely anyone. And you guys need to open up your eyes, right? Because you can't just be yanked up and accused of a murder with no facts.
Right.
And when you are not willing to open up yourself and say, like, whoa, like, this could be me.
That's a point that I've made too, is if Bryan Kohberger did this, I don't think anybody, if he actually did this, like on camera, very obvious, like, I don't think anybody would care if he got shot and pissed on. Honestly, I don't care. I think people would be like, whatever, this guy, he's a piece of
rope
shit.
him up, whatever.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, hold on. So now when there's a case that nobody, even if they feel it in their gut, if they did say it, there's like bot farms on TikTok, or there's people that just come at your neck. Like I was saying, I used the example. Somebody said that they wish it was my wife and I in the house that night, because I said it might not be Bryan. And I'm like, see, what you just said is way worse than me saying.
Oh,
and also prefacing it by saying, nobody's saying that we want somebody to get away with murder. All we're saying is that we want the right person to go down for it.
100%. I never knew that the stream of bullying would hit me in the light years that it has hit me. It's insane. I've had people make Facebook accounts. They've labeled all these Facebook accounts. They take my hair off and they say I'm trans, male to female. I'm like, guys, hello, that's not a,
Wow.
You're not like getting to me. I'm an ally. Like,
Yeah.
So like, is that like are you calling me a name by calling me transgender? Like, I'm an ally.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You called me a name on the internet and you made a fake profile of me. And it's like,
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane. And I'm like, guys, we're literally just trying to like be better humans.
I agree. And
that's it.
The only thing that bothers me about when people do that is like when they'll start messaging people on behalf of you, acting as you. That shit sucks. And it's weird.
I've gotten it far and wide. I'm just like, I just don't play into it. And I'm getting way more traction by not playing into it, because,
of course not. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's ridiculous. What are we doing?
Somebody made a birdie crypto coin and was trying to get people to go over to WhatsApp. And I did think to myself, I'm like, damn, that's actually not, like, that would be kind of fun. It'd be kind of fun, but no, I would never ask anybody for money. And I think too, one of the last questions that I have for you, B, is, okay, what do we do now? Do you continue to just, because there has been so many people creators, non-creators, streams like this, channels like yours, whether you're in the middle saying, maybe not, I have some doubts, or you're fully like, I don't think he did this. There's been so many contradictions pointed out. Why isn't anything being done? What do we do?
You know, all I can think about is just keep doing. I will continue using my voice as long as I can. It is hard when there's not a lot coming out, but I think we're about to get, as long as there are documents coming out, I think there's something to be done. So if this is going to consume us completely, this whole case, maybe not. We should probably start offering our services to other cases. But as long as things are going to come out about this case that could change things, I will continue to use my voice for it.
Good for you. And I agree. I think as long as things are coming out, there's something to be said about it. I actually was talking to Discord Dawn today, who's one of my mods, and I'm like, I've gone like literally just balls deep on this case where I don't even know how to look at it in other lights. I feel like I've looked at it through ritual lights, WITSEC lights, PSYOP lights, false flag lights. Did he do it lights? He didn't do it lights. Were they in the house? Were they not in the house? Why was the crime scene torn down? Is this some big giant study operation for Palantir and a bunch of people that are I don't know what else to look at. And I do think, though, if I've realized anything, the thing that I'm not going to waste my time anymore on, not because I don't think it's important, but the alt perp strategy. I don't think that that's the move. I think the move is just the reasonable doubt.
Yeah,
Really
I don't
hitting
think that the alt perp, because obviously there's an alternate perpetrator.
Of course.
Right? Obviously, or there's multiple perpetrators. Like, that's no secret. But I think that, I don't know. I just, with this whole, like I said, as long as things are coming out that are going to shine some light on things that we don't know, then we have to keep doing it, right? You have to stay, I'm going to stand on 10 toes. So standing on 10 toes for me is continuing with as much until the information stops. I'll continue.
Let me ask you this, kind of segueing off that, is, do you find it weird? Like, you'd think with how much attention this case has gotten, you'd think with like how popular of a party house that place was, does anybody really know, or at least fully believe, the timeline and what had happened in that house? I find that very strange, with all of the documents, with the police body cam footage, with the ring cameras, with everything else. It's like, can anybody actually lay out a 100% accurate timeline
No.
at all? It's not even close.
No one can, not the cops, especially not the cops, because they've got it all wrong. They've got it all wrong. They have the timeline all wrong.
What about see, like, even down to like, when did Ethan and Xana get home?
Well, would we ever? So from the beginning, Bethany has stated from the beginning, no matter what, from her original statement, that Xana and Ethan were home by 1:45 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That's been her thing from the jump. Well, but then what happened to them? Because that was her original statement. But then after that, everything just left Ethan and Xana out. Nobody knew where they were. Nobody knew if they were home. It's not making any sense. You guys knew that Ethan and Xana were home. You didn't not know.
I agree.
I don't doubt that it was Xana playing the music.
Well, I was watching your TikToks a couple hours ago, and you're right about the Bluetooth speaker. Did they play it until their phone died or the speaker died? Did they go like,
who turned off the music?
Right.
So you heard music blasting. At what point did you not hear music blasting anymore? You don't remember? Because you went to sleep in Bethany's room? Like,
dude, the other thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because we had kind of talked about the second weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You have Bethany and Dylan who are saying they heard a firework, they saw a flash, and they don't say it sounded like a gunshot. They said they think it was a prank, or that was this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? I don't understand just the physics of it with light bending around a wall and somehow you see a flash or whatever it is. I don't see how, that somehow turns into a fireman. I don't see any of the logical thought process,
No.
and it makes no sense.
I think that with that being said, it should have told the cops from the beginning that there was someone downstairs at the same time that someone was upstairs. And instead, the cops really didn't do anything with that. Like, if Bethany is hearing something pop in front of her door and seeing a light flash at 4 a.m., then that means there's someone else on the third floor. That means there's someone else stomping around upstairs. So why did you not automatically think, wow, there was someone downstairs and there was also someone somewhere else?
Right.
It's like they just skipped over these very big, important details. Because also, did you smell anything, Bethany? You're going to smell sulfur if it's a firework. Oh, no, I didn't smell anything. Okay. Well, then was it a taser? Was it XYZ? Like, there's no questions. There's no like follow up. Did you smell a strong stench after you heard the bang and the light?
Yeah. And it's one of those situations where there's always going to be the defense of, well, you don't know, you weren't there. And who's ever telling you that, also, let me just remind you, you were not there either. And
Same, yes.
right. So don't act like all, like you weren't there either. So
You also weren't there.
that's my
But I'm
favorite
sorry,
line.
like a firework smell is indistinguishable.
Gunshots have a smell too, as well.
Like you're gonna smell powder, you're gonna smell something hot. So if you didn't smell anything associated with it, but did we ask that? No, we probably didn't. We probably
Screams.
did not.
Yeah.
We didn't ask.
The other thing too was when the cops walk in. This is I have a guest on Monday nights. His name's Devil's Advocates, and we were watching the body cam footage when they go up the stairs and Hunter is behind them, and then he kind of follows them in. The cops kind of like, dude, okay, just get back. And you hear him say he checked their pulse, and he's holding a knife. And there's this frame where he's standing exactly like what Chris Watts looks like. Have you seen that side by side?
Yes.
And also, so hang on. There's a guy in the house of a quadruple homicide holding a knife saying he touched the victims. I was like, how do you not just see like the cop's gun come up and say, drop the knife?
Because they did a piss, I hate to, but piss poor job. Like, I'm sorry. They left a gaggle of adults outside and they let people continue congregating to the group. They didn't secure the scene. And I've had people in my comments say, well, nobody ropes off a street. And I'm like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I came upon an accident where someone had been hit by a car and they were no longer with the world. And they roped off this is a huge major street in a busy city. They cut the street off. Right. I'm like, 100% they do cut the street off. You shouldn't be letting people drive up and down the road. Why are all these people standing outside? You haven't even roped off and secured the scene. You've got Hunter traipsing all about, a knife in his hand, then a knife not in his hand. Like, also, the knife that Hunter had fluid on the blade. How did fluid get on the blade of the knife? I guess he was holding the blade of the knife in his hand.
It's 8 hours. See, it just seemed odd too. Like when the cops showed up, it was like, where are they? But you don't hear the background questions. Like when they're also, it's like they go out there way after the fact of, when did it happen? Like, like it wasn't animated. It wasn't animated at all. Like it was just discovered. Honestly, kind of like there was one section where the cops kind of sounded like, oh, Jesus Christ, like, right, where it sounded like I could see if you're a police officer. But then at the same time, people have also said they're not equipped to handle that. They're not used to that type of stuff. Well, I think they handled themselves like they're pretty used to seeing it, right?
Well, and is that an excuse we get to use when someone is supposed to be deemed to keep us safe? Well, they weren't equipped and they weren't handled. Okay, well, let's shout that from the mountains.
Right.
Because if they weren't equipped and they weren't handled, that means our police force needs way more training.
Yeah. And I refuse to believe that between Pullman and Moscow, two I believe they're both Division I college schools, that their police forces are not equipped to handle whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're college campuses. They consider it a city at that point. They know the attendance is going to spike up. They're going to have more cops. And you could say, oh, they don't know how to handle the media. Okay. Well, the media was there immediately. And also, you chose to not have a press conference for 4 days, and then you say the victim's name's wrong and give the media nothing.
Well, but also, does it take rocket science to
No.
secure a crime scene? Like, I'm sorry. Like, we don't stomp on this. We don't touch anything. Like, this is like basic little kid stuff. What do you mean you weren't equipped? You just go in there and you say, don't touch anything. Get out.
And
Like,
we're going to question you.
And all of you are going to the station right now. Give me your cell phones. Like, instead, hold on. We're going to put you all up in a hotel. The university is going to pay for it. You can invite all your friends over. You guys can all chill there all night long with all your friends. Like, no. Oh, and then we're going to go to all the frat houses and we're going to tell them, get out of town.
Right.
Now.
Make sure you guys get your story straight. You got one night in a hotel.
You got one night to get out of here.
It's just wild. And so, B, how I typically finish the streams is I do a full-on tinfoil hat conspiracy of the day. Sometimes I go extremely deep where it's like our world is ran by reptilian overlords. Tonight is rather PG. And I don't know if you've heard this whole theory on why Disney came out with the movie Frozen and the conspiracy behind it, but it has a lot to do with Walt Disney and how a lot of people know that he wanted to freeze his body to be brought back to life. Have you heard that before?
I have not, but I also know that Walt Disney is a huge creeper, so I wouldn't put
huge creep. Huge creep. So pretty much the rumor is, like, since the 1960s, people have whispered that Walt Disney was actually frozen under Disneyland when he died. Okay. They say the reality is that he was cremated and then sprinkled across Forest Lawn Memorial Park. But for decades, when you would type Disney Frozen into Google, it brought up nothing but these conspiracies and rumors. So the PR team at Disney came up with an entire series called Frozen. So now when you Google Disney Frozen, Walt Disney himself doesn't pop up and those conspiracies don't. Instead, you get, who's this? Esla?
That's
Isla?
No, it's Elsa.
So Frozen blows up worldwide. Disney Frozen instantly buried any of those rumors about Walt Disney being buried under Disneyland Frozen. And I just think that that's really interesting because where my brain goes is I can completely see that Disney Frozen is not a good look. That, hey, there might be the guy who started this. He's on dry ice underneath the amusement park. We don't want that popping up in Google searches, right? So, and someone said, did I just say I don't know. I don't have kids.
Yes, Bertie just said Isla.
Whoops.
He said Isla from Frozen. It's okay.
My bad. Well, I would love to have you back on the stream sometime soon, and then for that next conspiracy of the day, I'll go wild on that one. I'll get something that's gonna blow your mind. This one was I didn't want to scare you off right away, B. So
I know. Sometimes the conspiracy are a bit much for me, but
that's
it's
all right.
good. I'm always a team player.
Yep. There's no refunds on the red pills, and I always say that. so to everybody that did tune in, thank you so much, B. You did a great job. You rock. I'm so glad that we were able to get this done.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Just thank you for everybody that supported.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And here is Booking with B's TikTok. It's spelled straight up, just like how you think, Booking with B. And she is working on an Instagram, but right now this TikTok would be the best platform, correct?
Yes, I'm working on it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, with that, Hive, I hope you all have a great night. I will be on tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central as always. And B, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. You did awesome.
You as well, Birdie. Thank you so much.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new